Thebes, 1479 BCE. The air within the sacred halls of Karnak is thick with incense and anticipation. Amidst the towering columns and flickering torchlight, a boy of 9 kneels before the altar of Amun-Ra, his small hands clenched, his eyes shining with more than just the reflection of golden lamplight. He does not weep for pain, nor for the loneliness that shadows him, but for the sting of injustice. In a voice barely more than a whisper, he utters, "Why has my stepmother stolen my throne?" This boy is Thutmose III, destined by blood and birthright to rule all of Egypt. Yet he lives only as a king in name, his true power eclipsed by the formidable Hatshepsut, the most powerful woman in Egyptian history. For 22 years, the palace is his prison, and the crown a distant dream. In this crucible of frustration and shadow, Thutmose's will is forged like steel. Day by day, indignity by indignity, he endures, learns, and grows. And when fate finally delivers the reins of power into his hands, Thutmose III will lift Egypt to heights no pharaoh had ever dared to envision. 17 campaigns, undefeated. An empire stretching from the heart of Sudan to the banks of the Euphrates. Historians have called him the Napoleon of ancient Egypt. But in truth, Napoleon was only the Thutmose III of Europe. Thutmose's story begins in hardship. Born into a royal lineage, his life is marked by loss and betrayal almost from the start. His father, Thutmose II, is taken by death when the boy is just 6. The throne should have been his, yet his stepmother, Hatshepsut, at first merely a regent, steadily gathers power until she reigns as pharaoh in all but name. The boy's statues are hidden away, his name erased from official records, and at every festival, he stands behind Hatshepsut, reduced to little more than a ceremonial figure. "You are but a child," Hatshepsut intones, her voice as cold as the Nile at dawn. "Let the adults rule the nation." But Thutmose is not idle. In the gloom of his enforced silence, he watches and learns. He studies how Hatshepsut governs, noting her strengths and her blind spots. He delves into the secrets of military strategy, poring over the annals of Egyptian warfare and training in the arts of combat. While Hatshepsut focuses on building grand temples and monuments, unrest simmers in the vassal territories of Canaan and Syria. Foreign kings, sensing weakness in a woman's rule, begin to rebel. It is a miscalculation they will come to regret. In 1458 BCE, Hatshepsut dies suddenly, and the 31-year-old Thutmose finally seizes the throne with both hands. His first act is as symbolic as it is ruthless. He orders the destruction of Hatshepsut's monuments, her name chiseled from every stone, her legacy entombed behind walls of granite. Obelisks that once bore her mark are enclosed in stone, as if to erase her very memory from the world. "For 22 years you stole my crown," Thutmose declares, his voice echoing through the halls. "Now I will erase your presence from history itself." But vengeance is only the beginning. Almost immediately, word reaches him. A formidable alliance of Canaanite and Syrian kings, led by the powerful ruler of Kadesh, is amassing an army of 10,000 at the fortress city of Megiddo. Panic ripples through the Egyptian court. Advisors urge diplomacy, pleading, "Your Majesty, negotiation is wiser than war." Thutmose's reply is cold steel. 22 years I have prepared for this moment. The world is about to discover who truly rules Egypt. The spring of 1457 BCE sees Thutmose leading a force of 20,000 infantry and 1,000 chariots northward. As they approach Megiddo, his generals present 2 safe routes. Instead, Thutmose points to the most treacherous path, the narrow, steep Aruna Pass. "My lord, that road is death," protests General Jehuti. "That is precisely why the enemy will not expect it," Thutmose answers. "We must appear where they least anticipate." That night, the Egyptian army moves like shadows through the perilous pass, led personally by Thutmose, who risks his life alongside his men. By dawn on the 15th day of May, 1457 BCE, the Egyptians materialize out of the mist before Megiddo. The enemy, caught completely by surprise, is thrown into chaos. "By the grace of Amun-Ra, victory is ours!" Thutmose cries, charging at the head of his troops. In a matter of hours, the enemy coalition is shattered. 330 princes flee in terror. The king of Kadesh barely escapes with his life. Thousands are taken prisoner, and over 900 chariots, once symbols of their defiance, become Egyptian spoils. But Thutmose's true genius lies not just in his battlefield triumphs, but in the wisdom of his aftermath. Where many would have sought vengeance and slaughter, he offers clemency. I have not come to destroy, but to rule. Those who submit to Egypt shall be spared. The message is clear. One by one, the lesser kings bend the knee. Megiddo's fall marks more than a military victory. It is the dawn of Egypt's greatest empire. Megiddo is only the first note in a symphony of conquest. Over the next 20 years, Thutmose III launches 16 more campaigns, each more audacious than the last. His achievements will stand unmatched in the ancient world. Unlike any pharaoh before him, Thutmose builds a vast web of intelligence, stretching from Nubia in the south to the frontiers of Mesopotamia. Before every campaign, his spies report enemy strengths and weaknesses, supply lines, and secret plots. With this knowledge, he crafts his strategies with surgical precision. He revolutionizes Egyptian warfare by perfectly blending chariotry, infantry, archers, and even naval forces, a combined arms doctrine millennia ahead of its time. In effect, Thutmose invents the concept of blitzkrieg long before that word would ever be spoken in another language. His psychological tactics are equally shrewd. Defeated kings are often spared, but their sons are taken hostage to Thebes, not as mere prisoners, but as wards, educated and raised in the shadow of Egypt's greatness. When these princes return home, they rule as loyal allies, forever bound by their formative Egyptian years. One campaign, in 1446 BCE, stands as a marvel of logistics and daring. Thutmose orders his ships disassembled, hauled by oxen across the desert, and reassembled at the banks of the Euphrates. With this unexpected maneuver, he strikes the kingdom of Mitanni from the rear, achieving victory where none thought possible. By the end of his reign, Egypt's dominion stretches over 3 million square kilometers, greater than the modern expanse of India. From the sun-baked lands of Sudan to the fertile crescent of Iraq, the world bows before the pharaoh. Yet the empire is not just vast, it is cosmopolitan and surprisingly peaceful. Thutmose governs not merely with the sword, but with law, diplomacy, and an appreciation for the cultures and peoples under his rule. To compare Thutmose with Napoleon is to reveal the true scale of his accomplishments. Napoleon triumphed in about 60 out of 70 battles, a record of approximately 85%. Thutmose, by contrast, was undefeated. 17 victories from 17 campaigns, a perfect record. Napoleon's empire, at its height, spanned 2 million square kilometers and lasted barely a decade. Thutmose's conquests forged an empire of 3 million square kilometers, an empire that would endure, in various forms, for 4 centuries. But Thutmose's legacy transcends territory and war. He is remembered as the father of military science. His meticulous approach to strategic planning is still studied in military academies like West Point today. The practice of taking royal hostages to secure political loyalty becomes a template for ancient diplomacy, imitated in courts from Babylon to Anatolia. Under his rule, Thebes becomes a beacon of learning and culture. Princes from distant lands come to Egypt, not as captives, but as students, eager to absorb the wisdom and customs that have made Egypt the center of the world. In his tomb in the Valley of the Kings, Thutmose's own words are inscribed, "I have expanded the borders further than my ancestors. I have made the name of Egypt revered from sunrise to sunset, but my greatest pride is in bringing peace to my land." The journey of Thutmose III from a shadowed, sidelined child to the greatest pharaoh in Egypt's storied history is a testament to the power of perseverance and vision. Greatness, he teaches us, is not an accident of birth, but a product of adversity overcome and preparation seized. For 22 years, hardship and patience shaped him into a leader without equal. His life demonstrates that patience is essential. Waiting for the right moment is often as important as any action. Preparation is key. Victory favors those who have readied themselves in advance. Innovation sets the exceptional apart from the merely competent. Thutmose's creativity on the battlefield and in governance redefined his era. And above all, leadership is about example, not mere command. Thutmose led from the front, sharing risk and reward with his soldiers and subjects alike. Napoleon may have been the emperor of Europe, but Thutmose III will forever remain the King of Kings, the true Napoleon of the ancient world. His life is a reminder that even the darkest shadows can forge the brightest lights, and that the lessons of greatness, patience, preparation, innovation, and leadership are as timeless as the sands of Egypt itself.